Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something amazing, the invisible nervous system that brings robots to life. It's called the Robot Operating System, or ROS for short. You ever look at a complex machine with all its moving parts and wonder how it all works together as one? Well, we're about to find out.
So let's just start with that big central question. You've got a robot. It has dozens of sensors, motors, processors, all these different parts. How in the world do you get them all to communicate with each other seamlessly in real time without it just becoming a complete and utter mess of code? That right there, that's the exact problem Ross was built to solve.
So, you hear the name Robot Operating System and you think, okay, simple enough. The official definition says it's basically a set of tools and libraries to help people build robot software. But, the real key to understanding its power is actually knowing what it isn't.
And here's the big secret, the thing that trips everyone up at first. Despite its name, ROS is not an operating system like Windows or Linux. Not at all. It doesn't manage your computer's core functions. Instead, it's designed to sit on top of an existing OS. And that's precisely what makes it so incredibly flexible.
So if it's not an OS, then what is it? Well, the technical term is a meta operating system, or middleware. But here's a better way to think about it. ROS is like a universal translator and a switchboard operator all rolled into one. It sits on top of an operating system, usually Linux, and lets all the different hardware and software components speak the same language. And that brings us to the perfect analogy for this whole thing. If the robot's hardware is its body, and its main computer is the brain, then ROS is the nervous system. It's that huge, complex network of pathways, carrying messages between every single part, making sure they can all work together in perfect harmony. So why was this nervous system even created? Because let's be honest, robotics is incredibly hard. Before ROS came along, every single research lab or company had to write code from scratch just to do basic stuff, like getting a motor to turn or camera to send an image. The whole philosophy behind ROS is simple. Let's create a standard way of doing things so engineers can stop reinventing the basics and focus on building amazing new robot behaviors.
Okay, so how does this nervous system actually work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at the plumbing of the system, the architecture that lets all that information flow so smoothly through the robot.
All right, the most fundamental building block in ROS is called a node. A node is just a small, self-contained program that does one thing, and does it really well. So you'll have one node that only reads data from a laser scanner, another node only controls the wheels, a third that only plans paths. It's just like a specialized nerve cell. And this is brilliant, right? Because if your laser node crashes, the rest of the robot, like the wheels, can keep right on going.
So if the nodes are the individual nerve cells, how do they talk to each other? Well, they use something called topics. The best way to think of a topic is like a public radio channel or one of those neural pathways. A node that has information, say from a camera, can broadcast or publish that data onto a specific topic for anyone else who's interested to tune in and hear. And this right here is where things get really cool. Imagine a camera node. It's just shouting out its image data onto a topic called /camera images. It has no idea who's listening, and frankly, it doesn't care. Now, a navigation node can tune in or subscribe to that channel to see where it's going. But then, you could add a completely new recording node that also subscribes to that exact same topic to save the video feed. And you can do all that without ever having to touch or change the original camera code. It's incredibly powerful. Now, topics are fantastic for these continuous streams of data, like a video feed. But what about other kinds of communication? For simple one-off commands, we have something called services. A node sends a request, like take a photo right now, and it just waits for a single response that says, yep, got it, it's done. But for longer tasks, we use actions. An action, like drive to the kitchen, is different. It allows the robot to give you continuous feedback along the way, like I'm halfway there, and you can even cancel it if you need to. So beyond just communication, ROS gives developers this incredible suite of tools. And honestly, they're like superpowers for anyone trying to build and debug a robot. Let's take a look at some of the most essential ones. We're going to touch on 3 of the most famous, most powerful tools in the whole ROS ecosystem: RVGuys, Gazebo, and ROSBag. Each one of these solves a really critical problem in robotics development. First up, RViz. This is a 3D visualizer that, for all intents and purposes, lets you peer inside the robot's mind. You can actually see the world from its sensors, watch the exact path it's planning to take, and visualize all of this invisible data that's flying around the system. For debugging, oh man, it's an absolutely indispensable tool. Next, we have Gazebo.
Think of this like a video game for your robot. It's a full-blown physics simulator. So before you ever risk breaking your super expensive real-world robot, you can build a virtual version of it in a virtual world and test all your code there. You can simulate gravity, friction, sensor noise, the whole shebang. It's an incredibly powerful and, most importantly, safe place to test things out.
And finally, ROSBAG. Now this one, think of this as the robot's flight recorder. It can record every single message that passes through every single topic in the entire system. So if your robot does something weird out in the field, you can just play back that ROSBAG file in the lab, see exactly what the sensors were seeing at that moment, and figure out what on earth went wrong. Okay, that's a lot of theory. Let's make this real. Let's see how all these pieces, the nodes, the topics, all of it, come together in an actual scenario. We're going to trace the flow of data from a sensor all the way to a moving wheel. So picture a delivery robot in a big warehouse. First, a sensor node reads data from its laser scanner and publishes it onto a topic called /scan. Then, a map node, which is subscribed to /scan, uses that data to figure out where the robot is in the warehouse and publishes its location. The main brain node hears that location, decides, okay, I need to turn left, and publishes a speed command. And finally, the motor node subscribes to those speed commands and turns them into the actual electrical signals that move the wheels. And just like that, we have intelligent motion. Now, this is really important to know. There are two major versions of ROS. ROS 1, the original, relied on the central master node, which meant if that one node went down, the whole robot stopped working, a massive single point of failure. ROS 2 is completely different. It's fully distributed, so there is no master. It also adds critical features like built-in security and real-time control. And these aren't just minor upgrades. This is what makes ROS ready for things like self-driving cars and surgical robots, where reliability and security are absolutely non-negotiable. So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. If you are starting a new project today, just use ROS 2, period. It is the modern, robust, and secure industry standard, and it's what pretty much all new development is built on top of. So we've seen how ROS acts as this incredible nervous system, allowing all these simple modular parts to come together and create complex, intelligent behavior. It really is the framework that lets robotics innovators stand on the shoulders of giants. And that leaves us with just one question. With this powerful system in our hands, what amazing things should we teach our robots to do next?